This is how you educate a daughter-in-law." She said this as she laughed and looked at my face covered in cream.
"Mom, you've gone too far."
"Why are you taking it so seriously? It's just a little surprise. The bride shouldn't look so scary. Come on, smile, smile."
My mother-in-law kept laughing, clutching her stomach, while my sister-in-law aimed my phone camera at me. My father-in-law just stood watching as if it were someone else's business. I was in shock. Why did this happen? My once-in-a-lifetime wedding was ruined by my in-laws. Could anything be more humiliating? I could feel something breaking inside me. I'm leaving. I took a deep breath, held up my dress, and slowly started walking toward the exit of the hall. Right then, my mother-in-law screamed, and an unexpected scene unfolded. My name is Kate Lee, and I'm 26 years old. I lost my father when I was young, and it's just been me and my mom ever since. There were moments I missed having a father, but my mom's love was enough to fill the gap. My mom is strong and kind. She worked hard and was dedicated to my education and upbringing. I've always wanted to repay her for that, so I studied and worked as hard as I could. My father passed away when I was just 5. It was a sudden accident, but my mother has never told me much about it. I remember that day vaguely, but I can still recall my mom fighting back tears. After he passed, we moved close to my mom's family. At first, it was a bit overwhelming, but thanks to my mom's kindness, I stayed positive. I met Kyle when I was 23. I went to his company's office for a meeting, and he was the one in charge. My first impression was that he was calm and seemed genuine. Kyle was soft-spoken, but carried weight in his words. Above all, he had a natural way of caring for others. His demeanor drew me in. Our relationship deepened after about 6 months. One day after our meeting, he asked me, "Do you have a bit of free time?" I felt a bit hesitant, but also curious, and before I knew it, I had agreed. Relieved, he invited me to a cafe. We mostly talked about work, but his warm tone and smile made me feel at ease. From then on, our bond grew slowly but steadily. We made time to meet despite our busy schedules, enjoying our moments together. Kyle always noticed when I was stressed, gently reminding me, don't overdo it. His kindness reassured me that he truly cared. That winter, when I was 25, he invited me to dinner with a serious expression. I felt something special might be happening and was a little nervous. His demeanor suggested something big was coming. After an awkward dinner, as we enjoyed dessert, he stood up and took out a small box. Inside was a simple, beautiful ring, and I was mesmerized. I remember that moment vividly. "Kate, will you marry me?" His quiet but determined eyes filled me with warmth. I knew that with him, I could face any future. My reply was almost instinctive, and I was amazed at how naturally I said yes. We were officially engaged, and my mom cried with happiness. I was on cloud 9, but somehow I felt an unease lingering in my heart. The cause was Kyle's family. I couldn't seem to bridge the gap with them. Kyle's family is elite. His father, John, mother, Margaret, and older sister, Emily, are all high achievers. His mom, Margaret, is a savvy CEO of a cosmetics company. She doesn't seem pleased about our marriage. Though she never said it outright, her cold attitude made her disapproval clear. The first time I visited his home, I tried my best to make a good impression. "Nice to meet you. I'm Kate Lee. Thank you for inviting me." After a short silence, she said expressionlessly, "Please come in." Her voice lacked warmth, and I couldn't help but feel unwelcome. The living room was filled with luxurious furniture, which only heightened my discomfort. Kyle sensed this and quietly squeezed my hand for reassurance. During dinner, his mom bombarded me with questions. "Where did you graduate from, Kate?" "I attended the local state university." Her face grew tense when I said that, and I broke out in a nervous sweat. She and the rest of the family had all attended prestigious private schools in the city. Whenever the topic of education came up, I felt a bit inferior. His sister Emily was friendly, chatting about work and hobbies, but I couldn't relax. Even being from a single-parent family was a problem for Margaret. At one point, she asked casually, "What does your mother do for work?" She retired, but she used to work at a nearby supermarket. "Her mom is amazing. She worked 2 jobs so that Kate could go to college."
"Wow, I could never do that, working at a supermarket." Her tone implied a bias toward my upbringing, and I could feel my spirits sink further. Though Kyle tried to support me, a dark feeling lingered in my heart. On the way home, he apologized. "I'm sorry for all the questions. I'll talk to her about it. Whatever my family thinks, I'm marrying you, Kate. Don't worry about what they say." His kindness was comforting, but I couldn't shake my doubts. I wanted his family's acceptance, and the gap between that wish and reality troubled me deeply. Would his family ever truly accept me? Would I be happy marrying him if they didn't? I spent many sleepless nights filled with swirling anxiety. I tried to build a relationship with them, sending gifts and flowers on birthdays. Finally, the day of our wedding arrived. I felt like I was in a dream, standing beside Kyle in the white dress I had chosen with my mother. After our vows, we moved on to the reception. The event was larger than I expected, mostly because of Kyle's family connections. Our friends and family shared heartfelt congratulations.
Kate, may you find happiness.
I looked over at my mom, who was tearfully watching us from the audience. The reception was going well until suddenly Margaret stood up, took the microphone, and walked onto the stage.
Thank you all so much for being here today. I have a little surprise for the bride.
I froze as a chill went down my spine. Something felt wrong. I stood there motionless as Margaret carried a huge cake toward me, followed by applause. The cake was beautifully decorated and worthy of a wedding, but in the next instant, something unbelievable happened. She suddenly smashed the cake into my face. For a moment, I couldn't comprehend what had happened. Cream covered my face and began to drip onto my dress. I looked around to find everyone laughing.
This is how you educate a daughter-in-law,
she said it as she laughed and looked at my face covered in cream.
Mom, you've gone too far.
I looked around in shock. My once-in-a-lifetime wedding was ruined by my in-laws. Could anything be more humiliating? I could feel something breaking inside me. I'm leaving. I took a deep breath, held up my dress, and slowly started walking toward the exit of the hall. Gasps filled the room as I took each determined step.
Kate, wait!
I didn't turn back. I couldn't. The lump in my throat grew with every step. I kept walking, feeling the weight of everyone's eyes on me.
Kate!
My mother's voice was choked with concern. She tried to reach me, but I shook my head, signaling for her to stay put.
Isn't this all a bit dramatic? It was just a joke.
Her words cut deeper, a final twist of the knife. My hands trembled as I pushed the door open, feeling the cool air outside hit my face. The world beyond the reception hall felt strangely calm, as if indifferent to my pain. I finally let the tears fall, allowing the weight of everything to come crashing down. I thought I could endure anything for Kyle, but humiliation like this? On what should have been the happiest day of my life. A few moments later, I heard footsteps behind me.
Kate, please, I'm sorry.
I turned slowly to face him, anger and sadness in my eyes. Kyle, how could you let this happen? How could you let your mother treat me like this?
I didn't know she would. I thought it was just a little prank.
A prank? The words tasted bitter in my mouth. Kyle, this isn't just about the cake. This is about respect, about whether your family even sees me as a person.
Kate, I do respect you. I love you. You know that.
Then why haven't you stood up for me? My voice cracked as emotions overflowed.
Please, let's go back inside. I'll talk to my mom. I'll make sure she apologizes.
I took a shaky breath, barely able to look at him. Kyle, I don't want to go back in there. His eyes filled with desperation, and I could see he was torn between loyalty to his family and to me.
I love you, Kate. Can't we just move past this?
Move past this? Kyle, do you even understand what just happened? I paused, feeling the enormity of what I was about to say. I need some time to think, to process everything.
Are you leaving me?
I shook my head slowly. No, Kyle, but I can't just pretend everything is fine. I need you to understand that your family's actions hurt me deeply. With a heavy heart, I turned and walked away, my wedding dress trailing behind me. Each step felt like breaking away from a dream and facing a new reality, one that I wasn't prepared for but could no longer avoid. Behind me, Kyle's voice called out, tinged with regret and sadness. I didn't look back. I didn't care. In that moment, I knew that this journey wasn't over. But to move forward, I'd need more than love. I need respect, self-worth, and courage to demand the life I deserved. The next few days felt like a blur, a waking dream mixed with flashes of painful reality. I stayed with a friend, avoiding everyone's calls. Each missed call from Kyle felt like a tug on my heart, but I couldn't face him yet. Instead, I took time for myself, reliving every painful second of that day. My mind kept going back to the look in Kyle's eyes, the shock and hurt mirroring my own. But no matter how much I replayed it, the pain didn't fade. Kate, do you think Kyle understands why this is so important to you? I sighed, shaking my head. I don't know. Maybe he thinks I'm overreacting.
If he loves you, he'll listen. He'll understand eventually, but you have to decide if he's worth waiting for.
Her words lingered, adding weight to my thoughts. The truth was, I did love him. I just needed him to see me fully without his family's shadow. A week later, Kyle texted, "Can we meet, please?" I hesitated, but I knew it was time to confront the person I thought I'd spend my life with. We agreed to meet at the little park where he'd proposed, a place once filled with joy, but now tinged with uncertainty. He looked exhausted, shadows under his eyes as he approached. Kate. "Hi, Kyle."
I know I hurt you. I've spent every day since wondering how I could have let things get so out of hand.
I nodded, encouraging him to continue.
I didn't take your feelings seriously. I see that now. And I know my family can be difficult.
It's not just about them being difficult, Kyle. It's about you standing by, watching them humiliate me.
You're right. I should have done something. I should have defended you.
But you didn't. My voice cracked, the hurt resurfacing. Kyle, if this is going to work, I need to know you're willing to stand up for me, even when it's hard, even against your family.
I want to be that person, Kate. I've never had to choose like this.
But marriage is choosing, Kyle, choosing each other again and again, no matter what.
I understand. I'm willing to do the work, Kate. I want to be the partner you deserve.
I studied his face, searching for any sign of doubt, any flicker of hesitation. All I saw was sincerity mixed with regret and hope. Then prove it to me.
I will. I'll talk to my family, make them understand they can't treat you this way.
A cautious optimism bloomed within me, but I kept my guard up. Kyle, I'll hold you to that. This is the only way we can move forward. He reached for my hand, and I allowed him to take it, feeling warmth spread between us, cautious but comforting.
I know this won't fix everything overnight, but I'm ready to fight for you, for us.
We sat in silence for a moment, the tension easing as we let the promise between us settle. In that quiet space, I finally felt a glimmer of the future we could build together. Stronger, more honest, and grounded in respect. It would take time, trust, and work to heal, but for the first time I felt hopeful. In that park, surrounded by whispers and memories, I looked at Kyle and decided to give us another chance. Because love, when fought for with respect, was worth every battle. As we walked out of the park together, hand in hand, there was a different kind of silence between us. It wasn't tense or uncertain. It was peaceful, the silence of two people who knew they had work to do, but were willing to do it together. Over the next few weeks, Kyle made good on his word. I watched as he found ways to gently but firmly assert boundaries with his family. He took his mother out for coffee and had a quiet, serious talk with her about how her actions had impacted our relationship.
"I never realized you felt this way, Kyle,"
she had said, sounding genuinely taken aback.
"But you know, she's just so different from us."
That's exactly why I love her, Mom. And I need you to respect that if you want us to be in each other's lives.
It was a hard conversation for him. I knew it was, but he'd done it, and that gesture meant the world to me. And for the first time, I saw his family make small efforts. They weren't drastic changes, but I noticed his mother making an effort to talk to me with less judgment, more open curiosity. It wasn't perfect, and it might never be, but it felt like a start. Meanwhile, I worked on letting go of my anger and resentment. I tried to see Kyle's family for who they were, flawed, yes, but still important to him, still capable of growth. Kyle and I started doing couple therapy, talking openly about our expectations and boundaries.
Remember,
she'd said during one session,
relationships aren't about winning or losing. They're about building together, even if it's one brick at a time. Kate, thank you for giving us another shot. I know it wasn't easy.
Thank you for proving I made the right choice, Kyle. As the days turned into months, the distance between us that had once seemed like a canyon now felt more like a stepping stone, once we had both crossed together. I learned to let go of the past, holding on to only the lessons it taught me, not the hurt it felt behind. And Kyle? He became not only my partner, but my strongest ally, someone who'd walk beside me through every storm. We made a promise that day in the park, and I knew now that we would keep it, no matter what challenges the future brought. In the end, it wasn't a fairy tale, but it was real, imperfect,
and ours. And that, I realized, was even better. As we moved forward, I knew our love would continue to be tested, but we were ready, hand in hand, to face whatever came next, together. Months later, as Kyle and I stood together at our wedding, surrounded by friends and family, I felt a sense of peace that had been hard-won but deeply rewarding. His mother gave me a small smile and a nod, a subtle acknowledgement that spoke volumes. We still had our differences, but there was respect there now. Kyle looked at me with that familiar warmth in his eyes, the one that had first drawn me to him. But now, it was richer, tempered by understanding and a shared journey. We exchanged vows, words that felt both heavy and light, carrying the weight of everything we'd been through and the promise of all that was still to come. And as we walked down the aisle, hand in hand, I knew that finally we had built something stronger than either of us alone. This was the beginning of our true journey.